Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra! We start the story off with Hinata versus Hanabi. Both children are fighting each other, but Hanabi seems to be the stronger one. You see, Hanabi is a prodigy. She picked up on things way faster than Hinata could ever achieve. Hinata was slowly losing momentum in this fight. Hasashi kept arguing at them, both of them. Keep going. Do not stop. Hanabi was pursuing Hinata with attacks very fast, very ferocious, and Hinata couldn't keep up. So, with all that being said, Hinata would start to fight at Hanabi, but it would be proven to be fruitless. See, Hinata didn't have the necessary skill to fight Hinata with. So Hinata would lose this battle. And Hasashi would look at Hinata with a very stern face. And he would say, disgrace. You'll try again tomorrow. As he would leave the room. Hanabi would leave with Hasashi, with Hinata in the dark room by herself, thinking, contemplating her thoughts. You see, Hinata was with mixed emotions. She was confused, angry, but one thing that was stirring in Hinata's heart was hatred. Hatred towards her father, hatred towards the Hyuga, hatred towards the people that are treating her like crap. It was there, but it wasn't that big as of yet. Then Hinata would get saved by this boy named Naruto. She would thank him. And this would be her light, her inspiration to stick towards the good. But the good in Hinata's heart was unwavering. It was unraveling into something more horrific. See, Hinata, that hatred was still there. And it would only grow the constant days that she would lose to Hanabi. She felt jealous. She felt inferior. She felt as if she wasn't loved. She felt that she had no role in her own household. So with that, Hinata just basically bit her tongue. And one thing that grew on her mind, when she sat in the room all by herself, crying her eyes out, she would stop and a smile would grow on her face as she would say that I need power. I need to become stronger, very strong. Strong enough to pursue my enemies, strong enough to beat down anyone who stands before me. I acquire strength. So, now we're going to do a little time skip. Everything would play out normally, but Hinata wouldn't be the shy girl that you come to know her in canon. You see, something else would take over. Hinata would start to study harder, and she would start to train more vigorously. She would start to adapt Rock Lee and Might Guy's training, even pay attention to how they train more profusely. So Hinata would start to equate that in her training, her daily training at that. Hinata would not ease up. She would spend night and day, even eating proper meals. And Hasashi wouldn't notice this at all. Why would he? He didn't pay attention to Hinata because he was looking at Hanabi. And Hanabi was seeming to be the clan's heir. Hinata was going to get branded with the Hyuga curse mark. And she felt that that was a huge disrespect. Hinata couldn't say anything by it. She couldn't even fight against it. This was her fate. So she wanted to basically gain the strength to destroy the Hyuga clan and to destroy the Hidden Leaf that caused her this much pain. They could have put her somewhere else, yet they had to put her with these power-observing people. Hinata's hatred for her family would just grow and grow and grow, and Hisashi wasn't making it any easier, and Neji was only making it worse, because he would taunt Hinata, saying that she's a weakling of sorts. Hinata would lash out at Neji over and over and over again, but she would lose. Neji was stronger than her. It was only proven that every time she fought with Neji, that she would lose the battle against the Hyuga prodigy. There's two prodigies in there. Not only did she get beaten by Neji, but she got beaten by Hanabi too. This angered Hinata. So much so that you could see the veins in her eyes just profusely with red. All Hinata seen was red, but she would just let out a sigh and just continue on her daily life. Now, this is where we get to the tuning exams. Now, with that being said, the tuning exams would be very different for this team. Kurenai with Kiba, Shino, and Hinata. Hinata would be asking Kurenai for tips about genjutsus and all that kind of stuff. And she would also be learning more about taijutsu, paying attention to Rock Lee and Might Guy, even going as far as to training, trying to open the first or second gate. She probably can't get that far, but she can add a little boost to her power. Now, with that being said, Hinata would learn the first gate, having trouble accessing the second gate, but she'll get there. It's going to take time for her to even access that level of training, but she's determined nonetheless. She needs power. She needs the ability to grow. And with that being said, this is where Hinata would journey off from her team while in the forest. She would notice that Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto are unconscious, but Sakura's over their bodies. But this is not the scene that Hinata ran into, because with her Byakugan, she could sense that they were close, and she noticed that Naruto and Sasuke was unconscious with her vision. But the person that was standing in front of her, she knew who it was. For all too much reason that Hinata studied upon books. Every book that she could find, she would read, because solace in books made her happy. They weren't judging her. They weren't taunting her. They weren't bashing her about her weak potential. They were nice, comforting, and provided her with knowledge about the ninja world. Hinata welcomed every book that she had, even the bingo book, about a certain someone, Orochimaru. She did her studies upon this guy. Everything that she could fluster out, that she managed to get out, she sought. And when she seen him standing in front of her, she got on her knees and begged him for power. She told him everything, that she's been weak all her life, and all she wants is to be strong, to prove that the Hyuga were mistaken about her potential. She wants to become stronger. She wants to become more powerful. She wants strength. And she looks at Orochimaru in the eyes. Can you give me that said strength? Orochimaru would smile and lick his lips at this. Not only can he have a Sharingan user, Uchiha, but a Hyuga as well. He's not going to turn this down. I don't imagine that Orochimaru would turn this down. Having a Hyuga and an Uchiha, this is like a buffet for this guy. So Orochimaru would say yes to Hinata, only if she's strong enough to accept his gift. Hinata would say that, yes, I am strong. Now Orochimaru would lick his lips and say, we'll see. So he would bite Hinata directly on the neck, and this weird pattern, a curse mark, would start to form. And Hinata would be on the ground, clutching her neck and basically barely going unconscious at this point. Now Hinata would be in this dreamlike state. And in this dreamlike state, she would see her father and every other Hyuga, even her sister and Neji, and even the villagers profusing her. They're basically saying that she's weak, she's a waste of space, she needs to die, she was basically never needed to be born and stuff like that. Just giving the girl so many insults and hurting her ego even more. Now with this, Hinata would just twitch in her sleep and everything, but she would be carried away by Kiba and Shino, who wondered what even happened to Hinata and why did she wander off like she did. So with that, they would get to the regular settings. And with that, they would lay Hinata with Naruto and Sasuke, with Sakura watching over them. Now, the whole battle would pursue like it did in canon, with Sakura cutting off her hair, but Kiba and Shino would be there, but they wouldn't provide as much help as they could. They would barely be able to hold off the Sound Ninja. Now, the only difference here is that when Sasuke gets up, Hinata does as well. And this bluish purplish chakra would start to swarm around Hinata. And the same as with Sasuke. The both of them would look at the Sound Ninja, and the battle that would pursue would be ruthless. Hinata and Sasuke would not let up. See, Hinata would keep going, but Sasuke would stop because Sakura stopped him. Shino and Kiba couldn't reach out to Hinata. They really couldn't. Naruto would come to wake up, and he would see that Hinata is beating these guys very... So the two boys couldn't really reach out to Hinata. They couldn't do anything, just but look in shock that, is this really Hinata? The timid girl that they knew, well, thought they knew, is really showing her true colors, showing her true element at this point. Naruto would see this, and he would see that Hinata, this is not the girl that he once knew. Well, he figured he knew. He would run and grab Hinata, and she would snap out of her whole fix. The curse mark would recede, and Hinata would look at Naruto, and then she would just fall unconscious with that. Naruto would then hold Hinata, and he would say, "What happened to you?" But Naruto would be looking shocked because Hinata was displaying some characteristics that Naruto really wasn't used to seeing in the girl. So, with that being said, now the team would make their way to the preliminaries. Now Hinata would come to, and Sakura would say something about the curse mark to basically about Sasuke. You wouldn't know if Hinata had a curse mark or not. So with that, Hinata, same battle. Now this is going to be more of a Hinata focused movie. So don't expect me to go into many character journeys. They're going to coincide with Hinata's journey. But yeah, imagine me just focusing on Hinata with this one. But let's get back to the story. Small tangent aside. Hinata's battle with Neji. As Hinata stepped foot on the surface, she would look at Neji, and her Bakugan would show. Now, Hinata's curse mark would start to activate. Now, this is where Hinata's anger would overwhelm the pain that she feels from the curse mark. But the pain would be welcoming. All her life she's felt is pain. She's never felt love from her father or her family. She's only been treated as a tool to grow stronger, become the heir of the Hyuga. So yes, that pain, she welcomes it as a furnace to burn. And when she looks at Neji, she gets into a stance and she tells Neji to prepare himself. Neji is taken aback by this because in Hinata's eyes, it's not shown any timid sight. What he's looking at right now is the eyes of a warrior, the eyes of a ferocious beast. But Neji compliments Hinata's eagerness. He compliments Hinata's stoicness, put it that way. Now he gets into his own stance, and both of them rush at each other. And Neji right now can compliment Hinata's skills and everything. It seems that she's improved a lot. She's been training really hard. So Neji is on the back foot right now because Hinata is speeding up and the curse mark is starting to show across her face as Hinata then punches Neji directly in the stomach, sending him flying back into the little jutsu statue. Now, once Neji basically gets out of the rubble and lands back on the ground, he looks at Hinata, who's basically just standing still. And then she tells Neji that he's in range. And she performs the 64 trigram, the 8 trigram, 64 palms on Neji. Now, Neji basically blocks some of this, so some of his chakra points doesn't get cut off. But still, he took some of those attacks. Now, with that, this is where Hisashi, Hanabi, and Neji are shocked by this. How did Hinata learn this? How did she even know how to do this? And Hinata says, "I trained as hard as I could to surpass you. I trained so vigorously till blood, sweat, and tears were pouring out. I didn't care if my body broke. I didn't care if I die. I wanted to surpass you and prove to my father that." She would just stop right there. She would pause because she wouldn't know what to say. It's like Hinata was stuck. Did she really want to prove something to that bastard? She looked at him with pure malice. And Hisashi would just be shocked at Hinata's potential. Like, basically, this wasn't the daughter that he was training in the Hyuga compound. This is someone totally different. Now, as the battle would continue on, Hinata would be pelting Neji. She wouldn't be using the style Hyuga traits like the 8 trigrams or anything like that. She would stray away from some of those attacks and start hitting Neji with her pure fist, like basically punching him directly in the jaw, kicking him across the face, grabbing him by his leg, and just slamming him against the ground. She was amazed at how much power she had with this curse mark. She was loving it, and Hinata would then form a creepy, sadistic smile on her face as she kept going. Neji was trying his hardest, and then he did the 8 trigrams palm rotation, and this is where Hinata would fall back. Now Neji would be breathing heavily, and Hinata would say, "How many times can you do that? Because I know that uses chakra when you use that technique. So I'll just keep coming at you over and over and over again. Like I said, I don't care what happens to my body." As Neji would then keep doing the palm rotation to keep Hinata back from him. So she would get pelted directly into the wall over and over and over again. Hinata is battle damaged, but it doesn't look like she's scathed. She likes this as she's bleeding from the head and looking at Neji with her arms dangling. As she says, "Is that all you got?" Neji is getting ready to try to do the palm rotation again, but he's breathing heavily as if he's too low on chakra. All the damage that he's took is taking a toll, and Hinata rushes at Neji and unleashes a ferocious combination of attacks, to which Neji is bleeding out the mouth. He's barely standing at this point, and he's shocked, but he knows that this is fate. See, Neji is in that fate mindset where this has to be fate. He must have been too weak to defeat Hinata. And he curses himself for this because he gets mad at the idea. And this is where Hinata is stopped by all the Jonin. Her body is grabbed by literally all the Jonin. And the Hokage is surprised by this too. Naruto is even shocked by this because this is not the Hinata that he's come to know. Who is this girl? She's become more dark because Naruto can feel that her chakra is growing cold. It's not the warm-hearted chakra that he's sensed from her before. This is some kind of dark nature around Hinata. And Hinata would then just lower her hand, and the Jonin would let her go. And she would just walk away, spit on the ground, and say, "One down." This is where she would then basically get back to the stands, and the curse mark would recede. As Hinata would start to rub some of the ointment all over her body, and it would slowly heal her wounds. Now, everything would then go towards normal. Now, in this next match, now for the 1 month training, Hinata is going to be focusing more on mastering more chakra-related jutsus and stuff like that. And she's also going to seek Orochimaru out again. She doesn't know where he is, but Orochimaru, seeing what the child was capable of and the strength that she provided, even conquering the pain that the curse mark would give her, and she welcomed that pain as nourishment, Orochimaru would seek her out. And Orochimaru will personally train her for that 1 month time skip. So with that, Orochimaru would take Hinata back to his base lair. And this is where Orochimaru and Hinata would coax with each other. And this is where she would meet the Sound Four. And she would learn about the whole attack on Konoha, and she would just smile about it. And she would tell Orochimaru, "I hope you kill that third Hokage." See, Hinata is filled with hatred right now because she feels as if the whole village was out to get her. Someone could have saved her, but no one did. The only person that could save her is Naruto. But she doesn't think about Naruto as much as she does in canon. See, Hinata's right now, her mind is descending towards darkness. She's already conquered beating Neji, and she feels ecstatic about the power that Orochimaru has given her. So over the 30 days of the month, Hinata would be training with Orochimaru and the Sound Four and become a lot stronger, way stronger. Even to the point to where they would put Hinata in unlocking the curse mark stage 2. Yeah, now that's terrifying. That's really terrifying. You can already see the direction that this is going. So with that, Hinata would emerge from the urn, or whatever you want to call it. And she would start to train more with the Sound Four, even going with Orochimaru, even testing out giving Hinata experiments and stuff like that. Because I know Orochimaru would do experiments on Hinata, and she would welcome it if it made her stronger. Not to saying that it's like a boost of some point. Well, it is a boost, but yeah. So with that being said, now Hinata would come back after the 30 days. Now her hair wouldn't be short. It would be a lot longer. And it would reach to her shoulders. Now, once Hinata got back to the Chunin exams, everyone there would notice a different aura around Hinata. A way different aura around her. Now, Hinata would come into contact with Naruto. She would look at him and smile, because this is the only person that ever gave her that light. And she feels that he probably could be the only one to pull her from her dark descent. Naruto would talk to Hinata, and he would question her about her ruthless ways and say that she didn't have to beat him that badly. And Hinata would protest against this, telling Naruto to mind his own business, that my family has always treated me like garbage. And she wouldn't be expecting Naruto to say that, but Naruto would be taken aback by Hinata's basically how she just came at him like that. And he would just look at her, and Hinata would start to sense that Naruto might come to hate her too. But that's not the case. Naruto tells her that he's not going to hate her. He's not going to treat her or shun her out, but he basically wants to help her because he can feel that she's going down a dark path. And with that being said, yeah, she is. But Hinata would just shrug her shoulders and just go back to the preliminaries. Now with that, Hinata and Temari would be the ones to fight. Now Hinata would be looking at Temari, And she would smile at Tamari and say, you know, wind can be outmatched by speed. And Tamari would say, what are you talking about? But then Hinata would appear right behind Tamari with her Byakugan already activated. And she would punch Tamari so hard in the back to where Tamari couldn't even counterattack at how fast Hinata just moved. And she doesn't even have the curse mark activated. So Hinata would be punching Tamari directly in the stomach as she was being pelted across the field like a ping pong. So every time Hinata would appear, she would punch Tamari with enough strength to crack something. Now, at this point, Tamari's left arm would be broken, and Hinata would just be smiling at her. And this is where Hinata would say, come on, show me some of those moves that you got. Now, Tamari would unleash everything that she can, but it's only so little because she has a broken arm, so she's swinging this fan with one arm, which she can barely do that. She has to use two arms to swing it. So with one arm, the amount of efficiency her attacks are going to have is cut in half. So yeah, Hinata is bored of the fight and she starts to beat on Tamari very ruthlessly. And Tamari is unleashing a lot of attacks at Hinata, which Hinata dodged, unleashing the 8 trigrams rotation and then doing the 8 trigram 64 palms. But not even stopping there, picking Tamari up by her face and then kneeing Tamari directly in the face, breaking teeth and fracturing her face bones. Now this is where Tamari would just be on the ground and she would be crying out in pain as Hinata laughs at her, and the instructor would call the match, saying the match is over. And this is where Hinata would look at the instructor and shrug her shoulders. Now Gara would be looking at Hinata and he would lick his lips smiling, saying that girl is just as insane as I am. And he even states that she could have killed she could have killed Tamari if she wanted to if the instructor hadn't called the match. Now, Kankuro was getting ready to jump in to save his sister from that monster, but the match was called in time. So he rushed down there and took Tamari to the infirmary, to which they patched Tamari up. And Hasashi is looking at his daughter right now, and he's scared right now because in his heart, he feels that he could have been a better father. He noticed that he's turned Hinata into this monster because he didn't show enough content. He didn't show enough love. But will he ever get his daughter back? Only time will tell, because Hinata, the path that she's going down right now, it doesn't seem like she wants redemption. Maybe one day she will. Now, of course, Naruto goes against Shikamaru, which Shikamaru forfeits because he's not finna fight Naruto. And yeah, everything plays out normal with Sasuke coming in at last moment and going against Gaara. Now, everything would play out with the whole attack on Konoha happen. And this is where Gaara and Sasuke would fight, jumping over the village with Sasuke falling behind them and Kankuro and Tamari coming after them after she's patched up. Well, after she's patched up, she leaves with them. And with that being said, the Sound Four would imprison the third Hokage and Orochimaru with their fight. So where does that leave Hinata? Hinata would go and join Naruto. She wants to see what Naruto's capable of because she see him journeying after Sasuke and that Gaara dude. After she's seen Sakura join. But she doesn't state that Sakura's going to do much. So once they get there, she just stands by and watch and sees what Naruto's capable of in the whole fight. Pursue. She's basically just watching on the back foot, not even paying any candle to it. So she sees Naruto's strength and everything, and he managed to beat Gaara. And she sees that Naruto is all about bringing people to the light. She smiles at this, but then she just basically shuns away, disappears away. Now, once she gets back to the village, she noticed that the third Hokage is dead and Orochimaru escapes. And this is where a crow would land on her shoulder and telling her that everything that happened with the Percent battle and stuff and going forward. So now we're going to do another small time skip. To which Naruto would journey off with Jiraiya to go find Lady Tsunade.